Welcome to another Trick Tip Tuesday, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about welding safety and welding helmets and gloves. So I'm going to show you guys kind of what I've used over the years and what I found to work for me and why. So very first helmet I ever welded with, as a professional anyway, was this Jackson helmet. It's a non-auto darkening, just has a solid lens in it. I did upgrade the lens from the standard green lens to a gold lens over the years, but I used this for about 9 years of the start of my career. I loved it because it was lightweight and had the big opening for vision here. What I didn't like about a lot of the older auto darkening helmets, say from more, it's been 15 years ago and then up from there a little bit, was that the viewing out of the auto darkening was really small, so I never liked that. So I always just stuck with a standard lens just to give me more viewing area, and I've always run a number 12 lens in this helmet. So I still use this helmet occasionally, but not as often, because went and bought upgraded Miller auto darkening helmet, and these helmets have a really big, this is their Digital Infinity series, they have a really big viewing area, which I liked. So I had that one. Had this one for, I don't know, I'm going to say probably 7 years or so. And then I did upgrade to their Digital Infinity in this helmet that has their clear light technology. It's a little bit brighter view when you're welding, a little more realistic color in that sense, but same viewing as far as that goes. So I do tend to use these two different helmets depending on what I'm welding and what welder I'm using. So pretty much use this one only for TIG welding, because TIG welding is a clean process, so I don't have to worry about sparks all over the helmet, getting my lens dirty, all that. So I use this one for TIG welding typically. This one here I use for MIG welding. It doesn't bother me if the helmet gets a little messy and the lens gets a little messed up from the weld sparks flying at me. So you kind of find yourself getting a selection of helmets as you work into maybe what you start with. You'll kind of find that maybe you don't like a few things about your helmet. You'll pick up another one. You'll figure out what you like about it, what you don't, and maybe pick up another one. So, these are consumable items, so they last a long time. They are not all of them are cheap, but it doesn't mean you have to go buy the most expensive one you can, but it doesn't mean you have to buy the cheapest you can. You want to find something that fits your needs, that is comfortable on your head. These are somewhat lightweight. They're not as heavy as some of the auto darkening helmets that I've messed with, which was a good transition from a standard lens helmet. So so as far as the helmets go, like I said, I ran a number 12 in this one. These ones I run on 13. So I always forced myself to get used to welding with a really dark lens, because when you sit down and you weld for a long time, you weld for half an hour, you weld for 45 minutes, or in some cases, obviously as a professional welder, where you might be sitting welding parts all day long, you weld for hours a day. So the darker the lens, the better it is on your eyes. So I always found, even in starting, you can see better initially with, say, a 9 or a 10, but if you do a lot of welding, you'll find by the end of the day, your eyes maybe are bothering you a little bit. But I've always found that with the darker lenses, I don't have that issue. So really, it's to help your eyes out, and especially long term. If you're going to be a fabricator, you're going to be welding for a long time. You start young in your career, you plan on welding for the next 30, 40 years. Get used to a dark lens, because it's really going to help your eyes, really going to help the longevity of your vision, and that's a great thing. So from there, gloves, everybody's going to have preferences on gloves. I found that for TIG welding, get used to wearing gloves TIG welding. I see guys that don't wear gloves TIG welding, and for me personally, I don't quite understand it, because when you're holding that rod and you're feeding the rod into your weld, you're subjecting all the skin in your hand and all that to the ultraviolet rays, especially up close. If you're feeding the rod in, you've got your torch in this hand, and you've got your arc here. I mean, that's really close. You got those all ultraviolet rays that are just roasting your hand, and your hands don't quite get sunburnt, I would say, as much as some of your other skin does, and not 100% sure why, but you're still subjecting your skin to that. So just get used to, especially as a new welder, get used to wearing gloves and learning how to feed the rod into your TIG weld while you're wearing gloves, because that's really going to be a benefit, obviously, to your safety. And then also the weld gets hot, so if you're holding the rod and you get close, I mean, you've got hundreds of degrees, thousands of degrees of molten metal right here, and you're subjecting your skin again to that heat and all that. So it just helps keep you protected, and it's something that if you get used to wearing it, then you don't have to worry about it later on, and it makes it real easy to keep yourself safe. So as far as MIG gloves go, if I'm just doing light duty 110 MIG welding, these are just kind of a general purpose fabrication glove, not super thick or heavy, but they are padded, do have a little bit of insulation in them, so they work great for light duty MIG welding. Heavy duty MIG welding, just a set of heavier duty MIG gloves to be able to keep that heat away, and keep yourself protected. I do have a leather welding jacket. I have welding sleeves that are half sleeves that you can put up if you're wearing a t-shirt. Put your half sleeves on just to keep yourself protected in welding. So yeah, this tip will hopefully help you learn a few things that'll help you as you're getting started into TIG welding. Everybody's going to have their own opinions, so if you have different opinions and you've been doing it for a long time and it works for you, then that's great. But these are my suggestions as far as if you're getting into TIG welding, you're wanting to know what you need to start with, or what shade of lens you should be using, what you should be setting your auto darkening helmet on, or if you do have a helmet and you're trying to, say, do something in your garage and you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on an auto darkening helmet, just get yourself a standard lens helmet, get used to wearing it, and still run a dark shade, because it really does benefit your eyes later on, and then keeps your cost down when you just go with the standard straight lens helmet. So yeah, hopefully these tips will help you out with your TIG welding and some of your other welding processes a little bit, and help you get the most out of your helmet and know what's going to be the most suitable for you when you go to choose that at that point. So thanks for watching this week's Trick Tip Tuesday, and we'll see you next week.